between about 1:30 a.m. till about 3:30 a.m. Those 2.5 hours, that's the time where a lot transpired and the details are shocking. Now, what we are given to understand is that the mortal remains of the 23-year-old have been brought to her residence and her final rites will be conducted in a short while from now. Meanwhile, the Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has spoken to the family and assured all possible, not just legal aid, but also covering up of all the medical expenses or the expenses that are going to be incurred by the family going forward. There is also certain details that have come forth which also point to the perhaps casual, lackadaisical approach by the Delhi police, or could they have done better? Because they've taken nearly 48 hours to identify that the 23-year-old Anjali had a pillion rider. There was an eyewitness to this entire incident. To locate that eyewitness has taken time. Why did that eyewitness not immediately report the matter to the police? Did the eyewitness see the accident? Did the eyewitness actually see her friend, her friend who was riding the bike, being dragged by a car, and did she keep mum? These are aspects which we don't have answers to. These are questions we don't have answers to. But we are also seeing, we are also given to understand that the cops now believe that she is the eyewitness and she's there to confirm that the two entities, the two parties, that is the two girls on the scooty, on the bike, and the four people on board the Baleno, they did not know each other. The incident, there was an accident, and after which this entire hit and drag has happened because they were scared and they wanted to get away from that place. That's the first day the recounting or the version given by the four accused who've been nabbed, who are on a borrowed vehicle which belonged to the another person. So 5 people behind bars. Now, has the eyewitness corroborated that? Did the eyewitness also tell the cops that she was also scared, so she also left the place, not bothering about what's happened to her friend? There are events which have built up, which have built to the to that entire event. We will show you the CCTV footage, but before that, let's listen into what the Special CP Delhi Police, Sagar Preet Hooda, had to say.
सुल्तानपुरी की घटना में एक नया तथ्य हमारे सामने आया है, जिसके अनुसार एक जो इंसिडेंट हुआ था उस टाइम पर डिसीज्ड के साथ एक और लड़की थी, और उसके मुताबिक ये जो घटना घटी है उस टाइम पर वो थी और उसको कोई इंजरी नहीं हुई थी और वो उठकर वहाँ से चली गई थी। और इस मुद्दे में हमने जो भी एफर्ट्स किए हैं कल, उसका परिणाम ये रहा कि अब हमारे पास एक इंसिडेंट की आई विटनेस है और वो पुलिस के साथ कोऑपरेट कर रही है, और इसमें अभी 164 सीआरपीसी के तहत उसकी जो स्टेटमेंट है वो रिकॉर्ड कराई जा रही है। यह दिल्ली पुलिस के लिए इस केस के इन्वेस्टिगेशन में एक सिग्निफिकेंट डेवलपमेंट है, और जो एक्यूज्ड हैं उनको एक तरह से सज़ा दिलाने में हमारे लिए महत्वपूर्ण साबित होगा। इसके अलावा इन्वेस्टिगेशन अभी जारी है, इन्वेस्टिगेशन अभी प्रारंभिक स्टेज पर है, बहुत पहलुओं पर इन्वेस्टिगेशन हो रहा है, और जल्दी ही दिल्ली पुलिस की ये कोशिश है कि जल्दी ही इस इन्वेस्टिगेशन को कंप्लीट कर लिया जाएगा और जो अपराधी हैं उनको सख्त से सख्त सज़ा दिलवाई जाएगी।
Sir, what came in the report? Are you satisfied with the report?
Sir, right now, as per as the sexual assault is not there, we are okay with it. But as we know that जो ये 13 किलोमीटर रिपोर्ट में ये लिखा हुआ है कि उसकी इम्पैक्ट एकदम से मौत नहीं हुई, वो जो 13 किलोमीटर की बर्बरता हुई है उसके बाद उसकी मौत हुई है, तो ये जो है ये मर्डर चार्ज।
तो सेक्सुअल असॉल्ट का आप लोगों ने
हाँ, सेक्सुअल असॉल्ट नहीं है सर, नहीं है, रिपोर्ट में नहीं है।
आप सैटिस्फाइड हैं
सर? हम ओके हैं, बिल्कुल दिल्ली पुलिस कोऑपरेट कर रही है। बाकी 302 पे मर्डर का केस है और इन पे फांसी होनी चाहिए।
Let's now try and piece together what actually happened. It's shocking, ladies and gentlemen, that an SHO actually found a mangled scooty parked right there abruptly on the road. The two girls, one of them dragged by the car, the other one ran away. There was nobody to report what had actually happened. There were calls to the PCR. That is what we are given to understand. 3 calls that went unanswered. Let's try and piece together what happened between, say, about 8:30 p.m. that evening till about 5 a.m. that fateful night. At 1:17 a.m., Anjali and her friend are actually seen arguing as they step out of this hotel. They checked into a room in this hotel at 8:30. They were there till about 1:17, 1:15. And they're coming out. As they're about to get into the bike, then they get onto the bike, they suddenly get into an argument. Now these two are saying something and there is some argument that is going on. Now we do not know what this argument was. Did one of them have the key of the bike? And did the other one say, no, you give me the bike, give me the keys, I'm the one who's going to drive? Or was this more than that? Because they moved right to the middle of the road and they are having this argument here. But cops are saying and sources have said that even these two were in an inebriated state. They were under the influence of alcohol, just like the 4 people who were there inside the Baleno. That's what the cops are saying. That's what we are given to understand. So this is at 1:17 a.m. They are seen fighting. Shortly afterwards, near about 1:30, if you were to move to the next sequence, what happens is at 1:31 a.m., they are both seen getting out and moving out on that scooty. So here what is happening is you see this friend taking out the vehicle, but eventually it is the girl in the pink sweater, that is Anjali, who ends up driving the scooty. She's taking out. There are 3-4 men around. There are people around who are still having a conversation, but then they are seen driving away. There you go. There you see. This girl sits at the back, and then they are driving away. So this is the picture at 1:31, where the girl wearing the red jacket is driving the scooty, and the girl in the pink jacket is actually sitting on the pillion. Let's now move forward to the next footage at 2:05 a.m. At 2:05, if you look at this footage, there seems to be a change. The girl wearing the pink jacket, that is Anjali, is now driving the scooty, and the girl with the red jacket who is riding pillion as the eyewitness is now riding pillion. So they have clearly swapped places between 1:30 and 2:05. So somewhere was this argument that you are more drunk than I am, or you are not in a state to drive, or it's my bike and I will drive. We do not know all of that. It's all speculation. But clearly they have swapped seats. In this picture between 1:31 a.m. and at 2 a.m., they have swapped roles. So the pillion rider is now the driver, and the rider is now on the pillion. That's what's happened. Now, as this vehicle turns, 40 seconds later, you see this car. That's the Baleno. But what you also see, as this car is going, you see one footwear, one slipper here, and one slipper here. 2 slippers have fallen off the car, from the bottom of the car. And is there a body being dragged that can be made out amongst all this dust? Is that a body being dragged? We do not know, but that's what it looks. The visuals are hazy, but there is a huge amount of dust being choked up by the car. The drivers are clueless. Further on, later, this car is doing rounds, and as it is further on at 2:05 a.m., this is what is seen. One slipper here and one slipper at the top of the screen there. That's the other slipper. So 2 slippers, 2 pieces of footwear have come off. And then there is another footage, ladies and gentlemen, which is later on around 3:34, wherein this car comes and it's taking a U-turn. As it takes a U-turn, this can be disturbing. It will send a shiver down your spine because you can see the body being dragged, ladies and gentlemen. You can see the body being dragged at 3:34. So from 2:30 a.m. till 3:34, for more than an hour, the body was being dragged in the underbelly of this Baleno with the 4 drivers, 4 people inside the car, clueless. We do not know, or did they know? Because they were also inebriated, they had music on loud and the windows were all up. They did not know that this car is actually dragging a human being for more than an hour. So this is the shocking part which nobody is able to believe that this could have happened. And did nobody see? For 1 hour, this car was plying on the roads of Delhi on New Year. There are other vehicles, but did nobody notice? Did nobody stop them? Later on, we are given to understand they stopped somewhere, these drivers. They got out of the car, or perhaps they realized that there was a body there. They were shocked, they were scared. They just dumped the body at that spot and went ahead and parked the car from where they had got it and quietly made away, trying to be all quiet about it. But they all are now behind bars. They've all been caught. Anshul is now joining us. Anshul, you are at the location where, at the residence of the 23-year-old deceased. Her mortal remains have been brought there. What is going to happen? What's happening now? Are they now going to take her for the funeral rites?
So yes, the body has reached her home just a few minutes ago, and now after the rituals that has happened, that was supposed to happen at her residence, that has happened, and I'll try and show you in the visuals over here that yes, the body is now being taken out. The body will go to the cremation grounds where the final rites will finally take place. Now remember, the main demand of the family in this entire case was that the police has done a very shoddy investigation, and hence they were not ready to cremate the body until and unless they got their hands on that post-mortem report. Now since the post-mortem reports have come to the fore, and it has been reported in those reports that there was no case of sexual assault and there were no injuries in her private part, now the family has finally agreed to go ahead with the cremation process. So as you can see in the visuals, the Delhi police vehicle is already here. Behind is the ambulance, and in that ambulance the body will be kept and will be taken to the cremation grounds, which is approximately a kilometer and a half away from here. So yes, we are expecting that in the next few minutes the vehicle will move
So the
from here,
post-mortem
and the
report is
cremation
now
will
saying that the
finally
death
take
is
place.
due to ante-mortem injuries. Shock and hemorrhage is the cause of death. There has been no sexual assault, and now we are saying that her mortal remains are being taken for the final rites for cremation, because the family has now got the post-mortem result, and they had alleged that there could have been something more. There's more to it, but the cops believe that the two people, the two entities, the girls on the bike and also the four boys in the car, they did not know each other. It was a case of hit and run. It ended up being hit and drag. And the person who's the eyewitness, who was riding pillion, the friend of Anjali's, are the cops saying that she has corroborated what happened? Why didn't she report it?
So yes, the cops at this point in time actually believe that the entire case that has happened, the accused and the victims did not know each other at all, and the cops at this point are also trying to establish a link between the people who had a brawl with these two girls inside the hotels, inside the Oyo hotel, and with the main accused in this entire case. But as of now, no link has been found by the cops. But yes, cops are still not ruling out any link in that matter, because the case is still in the very early stages of investigation. So yes, at this point in time, what I spoke to some senior officials of the Delhi police, and they actually told me that
we'll see if the family is speaking. We're getting visuals of the family carrying a banner and saying Anjali ko nyaya chahiye, Anjali should get justice. We see if family members are saying something and what their demand is.
So yes, this yatra is now being taken out by the family members of Anjali and the supporters of Anjali. माता जी, क्या आप क्या डिमांड है?
फांसी चाहिए, इंसाफ मिलना चाहिए।
फांसी की
सर चलते रहिए, आप लोग करते रहो, चलते रहो। मैं
आपकी क्या डिमांड है?
सर बस यही है, पांचों एक्यूज को जो है फांसी की सजा हो, यही हमारी मेन डिमांड है सर, है ना?
अभी तक की इन्वेस्टिगेशन से आप संतुष्ट हैं?
हाँ सर, संतुष्ट।
आपका नाम बताइए। So as you heard there, Anand, that the family members are now satisfied with the investigation, the direction in which the investigation is going. But yes, they are demanding the capital punishment.
The family is demanding capital punishment for all five, for all the five accused. So that is what they are demanding. We must tell you, there were four people who were on board the car. The car belongs to the fifth person, and so all five of them have now been nabbed. But the family is saying they need to be treated as murderers. They should be treated as murderers, and there should be capital punishment. The strictest of the punishment should be meted out to these four who dragged a 23-year-old for more than 10 kilometers across on the streets of Delhi. Anvit is also joining us now. Anvit, the cops are confirming that there was no sexual assault. The injuries were ante-mortem. Death is due to severe impact and hemorrhage. But more importantly, questions will also be asked of the Delhi police. That the PCR, why did it respond so late? 3 calls were made, but no response. It's an SHO on a gust who finds out an abandoned scooty which is in a mangled form. But the cops take 48 hours to even discover that there is a pillion rider and an eyewitness.
Correct, Anand. See, more than the accident, probably it is a story of how this lapse in the police and the laxity that has come to fore with the accident. Because it is also being reported that the beat constable, the beat policemen were informed, and we also, recorded a statement of that man who was a witness and who had informed the local cops about a car dragging a woman's body. But despite that, the police apparently waited for the PCR calls to be made and only then swung into action after a body was recovered, discovered by the locals and passers by. The unclothed body of the woman was discovered and spotted by the passers by and locals on the main road of Kanjavala. So this is a major laxity, and that too, this incident takes place on the eve of New Year, when elaborate arrangements had been put in place, and Delhi police had been boasting about since a week that we have 18,000 policemen on ground, including 2,500 women police officers just for women's safety, and more than 1,600 additional picket that had been raised to check drunken driving and rash and negligent driving. So after all that, if such an incident take place, and not just the accident, which probably could have been unpreventable, but the accident was dragged for at least 12 to 13 kilometers, and despite that no one notices it. None of the police pickets or the police patrolling teams managed to spot this entire incident or the dragging of the women which caused her death. Now the post-mortem reports have also confirmed that the injuries are anti-mortem, which means that the woman was not probably dead at the spot, but she died of the injuries she sustained after being dragged for such a long stretch. And this particularly makes it case more brutal, and this is one aspect which the court will also look into at the time of trial, because the intentions of these men will matter the most, whether or not it was a deliberate attempt to drag this woman along and kill her, or it was an undeliberate attempt that these men were drunk enough and they did not realize that she was underneath the car.
Right. Now, stay with us, Anvit. I'll go back to Anshul there. Anshul, the hearse now taking the mortal remains of the 23-year-old Anjali, but the family has put justice for Anjali, or Anjali ko nyay chahiye, right in front of the hearse, and they are actually marching with it towards the cremation ground. The family wants capital punishment for the accused.
So definitely the kind of incident that has happened and the kind of pictures that has come to the fore will definitely tell you a lot about what must have gone through the family's heart, and that is the reason why the entire colony in which I am standing right now, they only have just one demand, that all these 5 accused.
Programming that is happening over here, you can hear in the ambient sound that we are picking up. The slogans that are being raised, Anji hum sharminda hain, tere qatil zinda hain. So you can imagine the kind of anger that these people have in their hearts right now. And also they have a lot of anger on the police because of the laxity that the police showed on that 31st of on the evening time of 31st of January, 31st of December and the 1st of January. That was the main reason why Anjali could not be saved at that very time. So yes, the entire situation at this point in time on the ground is pretty normal, but yes, the people on the ground are absolutely angry. They are still demanding capital punishment for all these 5 accused who have now been arrested by the police, and as they carry out this small march from the residence of Anjali to the cremation grounds. And in the next few minutes, we are expecting the cremation process to start. But yes, the kind of anger that these people have, that will only be subsided once the police comes out and make sure that justice is served to the family members while when they actually get the punishment that they deserve, because the kind of brutality that has been shown, even if they did not have any idea that the girl was being dragged, but the photos and the pictures and the visuals that have come to the fore will definitely shock anyone and everyone.
Well, just stay on with me. Anvit, also stay on with me. I think we have Ellen Rao, former DCP Crime, also with us on the broadcast. Ellen Rao ji, namaste. This is Anand Narsimhan here. My first question is, do you feel that there was a go-slow by the cops? 48 घंटे क्यों लगे उन्हें eyewitness को ढूंढ निकालने में? Was there somewhere an indication कि कहीं इनको कहा गया हो कि मामले को रफा-दफा कर दो?
नहीं आनंद जी, ऐसा पॉसिबल नहीं है। किसी को मामले को लफा-दफा करने का किसी को इंटरेस्ट क्यों होगा, ऐसा मुझे लगता नहीं है। लेकिन हाँ, इन्वेस्टिगेशन का एक प्रोसेस होता है। उस इन्वेस्टिगेशन के दौरान जो जो जैसे जिस प्रकार से उन्होंने उसको शायद नंबर से ट्रैक किया या कैसे ट्रैक किया, उसको जाके देखा तो विटनेस मिल गया कल। बट ये भी तो आपको अप्रिशिएट करना चाहिए सभी को कि एटलीस्ट पुलिस ने ही ढूंढा है ना उनको। जो विटनेस मिली है लड़की निधि, उसको पुलिस ने ही ढूंढा, किसी और ने तो नहीं ना। निधि ने आके कुछ बताया, बट पुलिस के एफर्ट से मिला है। दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट क्लू अबाउट इन दिस केस। सो वी शुड अप्रिशिएट, जहाँ पुलिस की गलती है वहाँ पे गलती है, लेकिन जहाँ पे पुलिस ने अच्छा काम किया उसको अप्रिशिएट भी करना चाहिए। दोनों हर
No, there is nobody taking away credit from the Delhi police for cracking the case and also finding out the entire course of events and identifying the CCTV footage. But the point is that who was that person who refused to answer the PCR call, Ellen Rawji? 3 PCR calls were ignored. That's a fair question to ask. The SHO जो गश्त लगा के उसको एक मैंगल्ड स्कूटी मिली, why didn't he want to get down to the bottom of this कि ये स्कूटी आई कहाँ से? इस पर अगर उसने उस वक्त ही जांच की होती, एरिया का CCTV देख लिया होता, तो he would have seen that there were 2 girls. He could have also made out that there is a hit and track case which has happened.
Yes, Anandji, I agree with you. Initially, there was a goof up in this matter because the person who was responsible to see all these things, they did not do that. And they should have been so alert so much that this case could have been averted also. I'm saying this on your camera because if the police initially was active enough, then there should not be any chances of these criticism to the police. But that is the bad part on the part that this was not properly taken care of by the police officials. और जिसने पहले इंफॉर्मेशन दी इंफॉर्मेशन जिसको मिली, that was not taken very seriously. That's why the reason that the police is in under the scanner, and that's why the fact-finding inquiry report is being started, being ordered under the leadership of Shalini Singh, Special Cities officer, and she will be finding out who was at the fault in this case, and the appropriate action will be taken. No doubt, I am not supporting the police at the initial stage, but later when the investigation was started, definitely police is doing good job.
See, it's only after the special CP crime, joint CP, senior level officials have now started leading the investigation that you've gotten to the bottom of it. But on 31st night, when there is extra bandobast, where is the alertness of the PCR vans? Where is the alertness of the on-duty cops? Where is the alertness of the police control room? Where calls have been placed but response has not happened? See, the incident has occurred at around 2:30. It's at 4 a.m. that the SHO has found a mangled scooty. So what happened in those 90-odd minutes? That scooty remained parked there for 90-odd minutes. Today it's a mangled scooty. Tomorrow it could be some other scooty with carrying some other aspect, and none would be the wiser. कोई भी कहीं पे भी कोई भी गाड़ी छोड़ के चला जाएगा, किसी को पता भी नहीं है. So that is in the national capital. These are concerns. I'm just going to check if we have Anvit with us and see if there is an internal inquiry and is there going to be action taken for negligence and lackadaisical approach. But Anshul, I just want to ask you: is the family alleging negligence by the cops? Is the family saying that there was influence exerted to try and exonerate the accused?
Well, definitely, since day one, the family has been accusing this, that there was negligence by the cops. But yes, family has not been saying that the cops were actually trying to defend the accused in this entire case. But yes, as you mentioned, an internal inquiry has already been ordered by the Delhi police, and they are actually trying to find out that who were the people who did not respond at that time, because of which this entire incident went spiraling out of hand very, very quickly on the Delhi police. So yes, this inquiry has been ordered, and the senior officials of the Delhi police have said that they, whosoever's names comes up in this inquiry, and it is proven that they were lackadaisical in their approach on that night of 31st of December, strict action would be taken against them, and Delhi police should make sure that an example is made out of them, because the entire PCR procedure, when the call comes to the PCR and how does the police respond to this, that is all recorded digitally. So it is not very difficult for the Delhi police to find that who were the people who actually took that PCR call, or who were the people who did not take that PCR call. So yes, the Delhi police has that mechanism to actually find out the exact thing. But yes, at this point in time, the investigation has been ordered. Shalini Singh herself, Special CP Shalini Singh herself, is looking into this entire matter and just trying to figure out as to what were the steps at which the Delhi police lacked, because of which there was such a delay in response. And it has also been said that if at all it is found true, then the corrective measures would also be taken, and it would be made sure that next time around, and when,
Well,
when
Anshul,
something like this
has the procession been stopped? The journey of the hearse van, is it being blocked by protesters? Are women protesting there? What's happening on ground, Anshul? Anvit is also getting us some details. Yes, Anvit. Yeah, yes, Anshul, we've got pictures on air now where now the area has been cleared. There were women who were protesting. They were not allowing the police van and the hearse van to pass through. But now I think the cops have intervened and they are now clearing the protest area for the hearse van to make its way, because the final rites have to be conducted before sundown. And they are running out of time for this, and that's why the hearse van has to make its way to the cremation ground for the final rites to be conducted in time before sundown. So that is one aspect where the people are protesting. Swapnil Kothari is with us along with Ellen Raoji. Swapnil Kothari, the family is demanding capital punishment for the 5 accused. How does the case read in this matter with what has happened? Because will this be treated as a rarest of the rare case?
Well, absolutely. I think it's a tough call for the capital punishment, but given the lackadaisical approach and given the brazen manner in which a body is being dragged for about 14 to 15 kilometers, Anand, I'm not surprised even if the court comes to that particular conclusion. Be that as it may, whether or not there is a capital punishment, but I'm sure there is a lifer in waiting, because this is absolutely funny. I mean, what is more funny is the lackadaisical approach of the cops, as you rightly pointed out, that there is no such response mechanism at the appropriate time, and the body is being dragged and mangled and dragged. So that is something which merits the capital punishment, if not a lifer, or at least a lifer, if not a capital punishment. Let me put it that way.
Excuse me.
But this is something, some sort of an example, especially during the New Year's Eve. You should have seen the bandobast in Mumbai, Anand. Every single place you would have seen cops everywhere at more strategic places where there could be crowd and everything. And I'm a little surprised that in the national capital.
Swapnil. See, even in Delhi, you would have seen cops wherever there could be a congregation or crowd. This has happened in the bylanes of Sultanpuri and in a deep part of Delhi, where there should have been at least gusht. There should have been rounds, and more importantly, respond to PCR calls on the 1st of January, which has not happened. So that's where the lackadaisical approach. I'm just quickly going to go to our reporter Anvit. Anvit, some blockade there of the hearse van as it is making its way to the cremation ground. Has that been cleared now?
Yeah, see, the police deployment is heavy, and the residents and the family members, they are raising anti-Delhi police slogans because. And that is what is representing all the kilometers. You can see the family members there accompanying the hearse van along with a big cavalcade of Delhi police. 2 to 3 vans are here. Senior officials are on ground, and you can see how the family members are being accompanied by the police and in the police cordon. They are being taken to the cremation ground. A short while ago, the women here were not allowing the police vehicle to move at all, and in fact they were demanding that they'll not allow cremation until and unless the culprits are they're given harsh punishments. And we'll try and talk to some of the family members. मैडम क्या डिमांड है आप लोगों की?
अभी प्रोवाइड हो रही है।
क्या अभी कहाँ जा रहे हैं आप लोग?
अभी हम अपने
point is that strictest of the punishment shall be awarded to these men who have dragged Anjali to death, because the PM has also established that the injuries were anti-mortem and she died after being dragged for kilometers because of the shock and hemorrhage, which was a result of anti-mortem injuries. So that is what has led to the death of this woman, Anand.
What is also intriguing is a friend who has spent the New Year's Eve with her, with the 23-year-old Anjali, friend who has had an argument and who was riding pillion, just went away and did not bother to understand and respond later. And even after knowing what has actually happened and seeing it all plastered across all media reports the very next day, did not step up to report and say that this is what happened. The cops had to suss her out. That is also shocking, Swapnil. Can you hear me, Swapnil?
Yes, yes, absolutely. I entirely, yes, I entirely agree with you, Anand. I entirely agree with you. This is something which ought to have been done, which has not been done. I think the cops need to be taken to task in this because this is something which is really, really. I mean, that first call itself should have been taken by the the cops at hand. And I don't know on New Year's Eve if you don't have this kind of bandobast. I don't know where's the Delhi Police Commissioner. He should be here, brought on CNN News 18 and questioned by you because this is something which lies. He stands at the top of the ladder, so he needs to look at all these things. And I mean, this is something. Imagine, Delhi is still tolerant right now. If this would have happened in Mumbai, I don't know what sort of street commotion would have taken place. A body being dragged even for more than 500 meters or a kilometer. Forget 13 kilometers. Anand, this is not to draw a comparison between Mumbai and Delhi. This is more to show that there is more response mechanism in more important states such as Mumbai and Delhi. Delhi is no far behind. Delhi is the national capital. This ought to have taken place. And apart from whatever punishment you want to give the accused, I am not really bothered about that. I want to go about curative part, the preventive part. The curation part and the remedial part will be there as per the course of the law. But what about preventive measures? What about this not repeating tomorrow into the future? This is something which needs to be taken on a war footing. I'm telling you, Anand, this is not sounding good at all to me. I mean, look at your CCTV
There were supposed to be
This is
stringent
astonishing.
punishments for anybody who was drinking and driving, and there were going to be alcohol checkpoints across Delhi. But this is a group of 4 who were inside the car with their windows raised, and they were inebriated. They were drinking and playing music and driving a car, dragging a 23-year-old. They were dragging a human being for 12 kilometers, and nobody caught it. And then they stopped at a place, they realized what they had done, they just dumped the body there, and then they drove off the car and they parked it, and then they tried to hide and tried to keep it all hush-hush as if nobody would know. Ellen Rauji, this is devious. This behavior itself makes it unpardonable.
Yes.
And somewhere the cops, the Delhi police has to come down hard on the negligence aspect. They cannot just brush it under the carpet as investigation and say, listen, time laga lekin hum durust to aaye, der aaye lekin durust to aaye.
Yes, Anand, the police at the initial stage was not so active. That's why I'm saying that they are facing the allegations by the public and the media. And this the person concerned will be definitely getting very hot. There will be hot water when the inquiry report is complete by Dr. Shalini Singh, who is special CP. He has been specially earmarked for the conduct of fact-finding inquiry, and whosoever is at fault, they will be finding out. And she is also supervising the investigation. As soon as the senior officers are there in the investigation, now it is the moment of investigation is on the right direction. And I think that now the things are will be placed on a very speedy trial, speedy investigation, as well as on the right direction. Right. It will be taken care of. Yes.
Right. Ellen Rauji, thank you for joining us. I know you are here with us only for a limited time. I thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ellen Rao, for joining us. Swapnil Kothari, just stay on with us. I'm just going to go across to Anvit and Anshul.
पुलिस को आप लोगों ने क्यों नहीं बताया सब कुछ हुआ? अगर झगड़ा हो रहा था वहां पर,
से बहुत डर गई थी मैं, उस हादसे से बहुत डर गई थी।
और आप उसको अकेले छोड़ के चले गई थी वहां पर जब एक्सीडेंट हुआ, वो बलेनो गाड़ी से?
उसको गाड़ी ले गई थी खींचकर।
गाड़ी खींच के ले गई थी, तो आपने पीसीआर को कभी कॉल नहीं की? पुलिस को नहीं बताया आपने?
नहीं, क्योंकि मेरा उस दौरान फोन भी टूट गया था। फोन टूटने पर मैं बहुत होपलेस हो गई थी। मेरे को जो ठीक लगा अपने घर जाना। अगर वो हादसा मेरे साथ होता, वो भी यही करती, वो अपने घर जाती।
आप अपने घर पे किसी को बताया था? अपने घर जाके किसी को बताया था आपने इस बारे में?
घर पे जाके किसी को बताया था, अपनी मम्मी को बस ये बताया था कि हाँ मेरा एक्सीडेंट हो गया और ऐसे ऐसे हो गया, बस इतना। क्योंकि मैं रोई इतना रही थी, क्योंकि मैं परेशान हो गई थी, होपलेस हो गई थी ज्यादा।
मतलब वो लड़के अंजलि को वहीं पर मिले हैं पांचों?
नहीं, वो लड़के तो जानते ही नहीं थे, ना अंजलि को ना मुझे
नहीं जानते थे। और आपको पुलिस ने
अपनी गाड़ी के ब्लैक शीशे कर रखे थे, उन लड़कों ने अपनी गाड़ी के ब्लैक शीशे कर रखे थे, कुछ लगा रखा था, गाड़ी मतलब काले कर रखे थे उन्होंने, कुछ लगा रखा था चिपकूट को। तो उन लड़कों की हमें शकल मेरे को नहीं दिखी शकल। वो तो अंजलि तो नीचे ही फंस गई थी, नीचे से ही वो चिल्ला रही थी कि मुझे बचाओ मुझे बचाओ।
आप ये कितने बजे का वाकया है जब ये पूरा एक्सीडेंट हुआ
ये
था, और
रात
आप
के 2
सामने
बजे हम
घसीटते
वहाँ
ले गए
से
उसको,
निकले।
क्या आपने बचाने, क्या आपने रोका, कुछ बोला, क्या हुआ था वो घटना का, फिर से
मैं
बताइए एक बार।
रोकती ना, वो मेरे ऊपर ही चढ़ाने की कोशिश कर रहे थे वो लड़के।
हम्म।
वो
कितने
लड़के
बजे का
मेरे
वाकया
ऊपर
था
ही
ये?
गाड़ी चढ़। ये रात को 2 बजे हम वहाँ से निकले हैं। ये 2-3 के बीच ऐसा कुछ हुआ है। 2-3 के बीच ऐसा कुछ हुआ है। वो गाड़ी ने बिल्कुल हमें ठोक दिया। हमने बचाव भी करा उस गाड़ी ने। ठीक है, ओके। बस इतना ही बोल सकती हूँ मैं।
एक सवाल और, आप जी देखिए न्यूज 18 इंडिया पे आप देख रहे थे किस तरह से जो हाँ जी देखिए, आप फिर से हमारे साथ जुड़ी हैं। एक एक सवाल का जवाब दे दीजिए हमें ये, कि आपको पुलिस ने कैसे तलाश करा, आपको दिल्ली पुलिस कैसे पहुंची आप तक? दिल्ली पुलिस कैसे पहुंची आप तक?
करवा दो बंद, समझा।
एक बार आखिरी इसका जवाब बताइए कि दिल्ली पुलिस कैसे पहुंची आप तक?
उन्होंने मुझे मेरे घर पे आ गए थे बस। ओके, नमस्ते।
We'll try and play this out once again. This is the pillion rider. This is Anjali's friend who was with her, who says that her phone also smashed or broke when the accident happened, and she got scared and she felt, and in her own words, she said, "मैं बहुत hopeless हो गई थी." But she says she saw Anjali being dragged by the car, and Anjali was saying, "Help me, save me, mujhe bachao." But she said that the car had black tinted glasses or some cover on the glasses. She couldn't see inside the vehicle, and the windows were up, the windows were drawn up, and the car just sped away, dragging her friend along. She also tells News 18 that she went home, she told her mother that she was in an accident, but she did not tell her mother that her friend had been dragged away and that their scooty was mangled, the bike was mangled. She didn't say anything. She said she was just scared and she was hopeless. And she also says that it's the cops who came knocking on her door. She did not report the matter to the cops at all for 2 whole days. She also says that she did not know those people in the car. Neither did they know either her or the 23-year-old Anjali who got dragged by the car. But she says she saw her friend being dragged away, but she was scared and wo hopeless ho gayi thi, and she just ran home. Listen to this conversation again. We'll try and play out this conversation yet again. But News 18 getting to the pillion rider, the friend of Anjali, who is the eyewitness in the matter, who confirms that there was indeed an accident, who confirms that her phone got damaged or broken, and that she got scared and she ran away from that place to her home. But she says she saw her friend being dragged. She saw her friend being dragged by the car as the car tried to make a getaway from that hit area after that accident. She says that her friend was shouting कि मुझे कोई बचाओ, कोई मुझे निकालो, मुझे कोई बचाओ. She was crying frantically, shouting frantically, but the car didn't stop. The windows of the car were colored or dark, and they were all rolled up. So the people inside, she says, I couldn't see who was inside, but they just banged into a bike, dragged my friend away, and they just rode off. They sped off. She also says she went to her home. She told her mother that she was in an accident, but she didn't divulge the details. She didn't divulge the details, and it is the cops who came knocking at her door 2 days later. Let's listen to the entire conversation again as she spoke to News 18.
आप बिना डरे न्यूज 18 इंडिया, जो देश का नंबर 1 न्यूज चैनल है, वहां पे अपनी बात रख सकती हैं।
वहाँ पे कुछ नहीं हुआ था। वहाँ पे हम गए थे, पार्टी वार्टी करी, फिर हम वहां से आए वापस। हम बैठे, एंजॉय करा। वो थोड़ा ज्यादा उसमें थी, ड्रिंक में। तो क्या हुआ, हम वहां से निकले। उसके बॉयफ्रेंड से उसकी कोई बात हो गई थी, कोई लड़ाई हो गई थी। लड़ाई होने के बाद मैं चली गई थी 24/7। फिर वहां से आने के बाद उसने बोला कि यहाँ से हम चलते हैं। मेरे को नहीं पता उन दोनों के बीच क्या बात हुई, क्या नहीं, उनकी पर्सनल बात थी।
आप कितनी देर तक उस होटल में थे? आपके साथ और कौन कौन लोग थे पार्टी
तभी
करने
मैं
के
गाड़ी
लिए?
नहीं, मैं चलाऊंगी, क्योंकि अंजलि अपने आप में नहीं थी बिल्कुल, बहुत ड्रिंक कर रखी थी मतलब उसने। तो मैंने कहा नहीं, मैं चलाऊंगी। उसने बोला मैं चलाऊंगी। मैंने फिर क्या बोला उसको, मैंने कहा, जब वो मानी नहीं ना, जब मेरे से ज्यादा जिद बहस करने लग गई, हाथापाई करने लग गई, तो मैंने उसकी चाबी उसको दे दी। मैंने कहा ले तू अपनी चाबी बहन, तू चला स्कूटी। वो लेके
जी
गई आगे तक, हम ट्रक में भिड़ते भिड़ते बचे।
जी।
ट्रक में भिड़ते भिड़ते बचे। फिर मैंने पीछे बैठ के मैंने ब्रेक मारा, ट्रक में हम भिड़ते भिड़ते बचे, क्योंकि उस दौरान मेरी भी मौत हो सकती थी, बस उस हादसे से मैं बच गई। मैंने ट्रक से हम भिड़ते भिड़ते बचे, मैंने ब्रेक मारा। ब्रेक मारने के बाद उसने बहुत ज्यादा ड्रिंक कर रखी थी, बहुत ज्यादा। हमने ब्रेक मारा, ब्रेक मारने के बाद हम आगे लेके गए उसको, स्कूटी को आगे लेके, मैंने समझाया, फिर मेरे से हाथापाई करने लगी, कह रही मैं ही चलाऊंगी मेरी स्कूटी। ट्रक से बचे हम, फिर कह रही मैं ही चलाऊंगी मेरी स्कूटी। मैंने कहा ठीक है तू ही चला। सामने से वो कार आ रही थी, कार आते आते हम थे स्कूटी पे, मैं पीछे बैठी थी। जब मेरे को लगा ना कि ये संभाल नहीं पाएगी, तो मैं जब वो मान ही नहीं रही थी कि मैं ही चलाऊंगी अपनी स्कूटी, मैं ही चलाऊं, तो मैंने पीछे से बैठ के मैं संभाल रही थी स्कूटी। संभालने के बाद संभालते संभालते वो भी आगे बैठी थी, वो एकदम वो लड़के आए आगे से, सामने सामने की टक्कर थी, वो आए सामने से और हम भी सामने से आ रहे थे। मैं साइड गिर गई, उल्टी साइड, और वो सामने बिल्कुल अंदर फंस गई, कनेक्टर साइड बिल्कुल सीधे की साइड फंस गई। वो फंसने के बाद वो चीख भी रही है कि मुझे बचाओ, निकालो। उन दारू तो पी रखी थी उसने बहुत ज्यादा, तो उसने बोला कि मैं बचाओ। उन्होंने उन्होंने उसको नहीं निकाला। उन्होंने जान पूछ के, उनको पता था कि लड़की उनकी गाड़ी के नीचे है, उन्होंने नहीं
पुलिस को आप लोगों ने क्यों नहीं बताया सब कुछ हुआ, अगर झगड़ा हो रहा था वहां पर?
से बहुत डर गई थी मैं, उस हादसे से बहुत डर गई थी।
और आप उसको अकेले छोड़ के चले गई थी वहां पर जब एक्सीडेंट हुआ वो बलेनो
नहीं,
गाड़ी
तो
से?
उसको गाड़ी ले गई थी खींच कर।
गाड़ी खींच के ले गई थी, तो आपने पीसीआर को कभी कॉल नहीं की, पुलिस को नहीं बताया आपने?
नहीं, क्योंकि मेरा उस दौरान फोन भी टूट गया था। फोन टूटने पर मैं बहुत होपलेस हो गई थी। मेरे को जो ठीक लगा अपने घर जाना। अगर वो हादसा मेरे साथ होता, वो होती, वो भी यही करती, वो अपने घर जाती।
आप अपने घर पे किसी को बताया था? अपने घर जाके किसी को बताया था आपने इस बारे
अपने
में?
घर पे जाके किसी को बताया था, अपनी मम्मी को बस ये बताया था कि हाँ मेरा एक्सीडेंट हो गया और ऐसे ऐसे हो गया, बस इतना। क्योंकि मैं रोई इतना रही थी, क्योंकि मैं परेशान हो गई थी, होपलेस हो गई थी ज्यादा, कि ऐसे
मतलब
उस लड़की को ले।
वो लड़के अंजलि को वहीं पर मिले हैं पांचों?
नहीं, वो लड़की तो जानते ही नहीं थे, ना अंजलि को ना मुझे।
नहीं जानते थे? और
नहीं जानते थे।
आपने
उन
आपको पुलिस
लड़कों ने
ने
अपनी
कैसे?
गाड़ी के ब्लैक शीशे कर रखे थे, उन लड़कों ने अपनी गाड़ी के ब्लैक शीशे कर रखे थे, कुछ लगा रखा था गाड़ी, मतलब काले कर रखे थे उन्होंने, कुछ लगा रखा था चिपकूट को। तो उन लड़कों की हमें शकल, मेरे को नहीं दिखी शकल। वो तो अंजलि तो नीचे ही फंस गई थी, नीचे से ही वो चिल्ला रही थी कि मुझे बचाओ, मुझे बचाओ। उन
आप ये
लड़कों को
बताइए,
पता।
ये कितने बजे का वाकया है जब ये पूरा एक्सीडेंट हुआ
ये
था और
रात के
आप
2
सामने
बजे हम
घसीटते
वहां
ले गए
से
उसको,
निकले।
क्या आपने बचाने, क्या आपने रोका, कुछ बोला, क्या हुआ था वो घटना का फिर से
मैं
बताइए एक बार?
रोकती ना, वो मेरे ऊपर ही चढ़ाने की कोशिश कर रहे थे वो लड़के।
हम्म।
वो
कितने
लड़के
बजे का
मेरे
वाकया
ऊपर
था
ही
ये?
गाड़ी चल। ये रात को 2 बजे हम वहां से निकले हैं। ये दो तीन के बीच ऐसा कुछ हुआ है। 2-3 के बीच ऐसा कुछ हुआ है। वो गाड़ी ने बिल्कुल हमें ठोक दिया, हमने बचाव भी करा उस गाड़ी ने। ठीक है, ओके, बस इतना ही बोल सकती हूँ मैं।
एक सवाल और, आप जी देखिए न्यूज 18 इंडिया पे आप देख रहे थे किस तरह से जो हाँ जी देखिए, आप फिर से हमारे साथ जुड़ी हैं। एक एक सवाल का जवाब दे दीजिए हमें ये, कि आपको पुलिस ने कैसे तलाश करा, आपको दिल्ली पुलिस कैसे पहुंची आप तक? दिल्ली पुलिस कैसे पहुंची आप तक? एक बार आखिरी इसका जवाब बताइए कि दिल्ली पुलिस कैसे पहुंची आप तक?
उन्होंने मुझे मेरे घर पे आ गए थे बस। ओके, नमस्ते।
So we have family members of Anjali. You can hear them raising slogans, demanding justice for Anjali. And we have the family members along with. मैम क्या आप रिलेशन में अंजलि के, क्या डिमांड है अभी आप लोगों की, क्या चाह रहे हैं आप लोग?
देखो, हमारी डिमांड बस यही है कि मैं ये चाहती हूँ, मैं क्या, मेरा पूरा जितने भी सब लोग हैं, जितने भी जो जहाँ जहाँ तक ये न्यूज़ फैली है, जो भी लोग हैं, सब यही चाहते हैं, वी वांट जस्टिस अंजलि। क्योंकि हमें इतना पता है, मैं हमारी बच्ची के साथ कितनी बर्बरता से उसकी वो हुई है कि उसकी आत्महत्या हुई है, ठीक है, लेकिन हम यही चाहते हैं कि उसके हत्यारों को सख्त से सख्त कार्रवाई करके उनको फांसी की सजा होनी चाहिए।
जैसे पुलिस ने बोला है कि सेक्सुअल असॉल्ट नहीं है।
बिल्कुल, मैं ये कहती हूँ सेक्सुअल कैसे नहीं है, उसके पूरे तन पे कुछ भी कपड़ा नहीं है। सर्दी का टाइम है, मैं एक लेडीज हूँ, मैंने कम से कम 6 से 7 अंडर सारी चीज मैंने अंडर सारा सब कुछ पहना हुआ, इनर है, अपर है, सब कुछ है, लोअर सब कुछ पहना हैगा, ठीक है, तो उसके तन पे एक भी कपड़ा नहीं मिला।
आप लोगों को लगता है पुलिस की तरफ से कोई कोताही बरती गई है?
बिल्कुल कोताही पूरी बरती गई है कि बहुत पूरी लापरवाही है टोटल। सबसे मेन बात बीजेपी का उसमें जो संयोजक है, जो एक गुनाहगार है, जो अपराधी पकड़ा गया है, उसमें बीजेपी का मनोज मित्तल वो संयोजक है, सुल्तानपुरी मंगोलपुरी विधानसभा का, ठीक है, वो इन्वॉल्व है। बीजेपी पार्टी टोटल सपोर्ट कर रही है और इसको मतलब कि एक्सीडेंट बोल के जैसे बोल के मैं कुछ उसको
So see, clearly the family is demanding justice for Anjali and they are not satisfied with the probe, so they demand strictest of the punishment. We are also joined by Yogita Bhayana here. Yogita ji, ये अभी जैसे पुलिस ने बोला है, initial probe suggests that there was no sexual assault and Kejriwal has also promised legal help to the family. How do you see the case going further?
See, the kind of layers we are seeing now, and I think there is much more to it, and I've been saying it from day one that we really need special investigation in this case, and it is really needed because earlier it was only accident. Now there was another angle to it. I'm pretty sure a postmortem report has come which is showing accident, but we still have to really do a detailed investigation which is needed in this case because it is much more than that. It can be a human trafficking angle also. And I'm pretty sure about it. I'm surprised no authority, no government is thinking on those lines.
What would you say on the police laxity? There was elaborate arrangements on New Year's Eve. Despite this incident takes place and this woman is dragged for 12 to 13 kilometers without being detected by the police.
Unacceptable. This is unacceptable. Complete failure of the police, complete failure of the system, complete failure of the administration also. Because transportation policy, it had to change after Nirbhaya. There were a lot of tall promises made by.
ये देखिए न्यूज 18 इंडिया पे इस वक्त सबसे बड़ा खुलासा हो रहा है। जो अंजलि जिसकी दर्दनाक मौत हुई थी, जिसने पूरे देश को हिला के रख दिया, उनकी दोस्त न्यूज 18 इंडिया पे एक्सक्लूसिव हमारे साथ है। मैडम, हम आपसे उस दिन 31 तारीख को पूरा घटनाक्रम सिलसिलेवार तरीके से जानना चाहेंगे, क्या हुआ था। आप बिना डरे न्यूज 18 इंडिया जो देश का नंबर 1 न्यूज चैनल है वहां पे अपनी बात रख सकती हैं।
वहाँ पे कुछ नहीं हुआ था, वहाँ पे हम गए थे, पार्टी वार्टी करी, फिर हम वहाँ से आए वापस। हम बैठे, एंजॉय करा, वो थोड़ा ज्यादा उसमें थी ड्रिंक में, तो क्या हुआ, हम वहाँ से निकले, उसके बॉयफ्रेंड से उसकी कोई बात हो गई थी, कोई लड़ाई हो गई थी। लड़ाई होने के बाद मैं चली गई थी 24/7। फिर वहां से आने के बाद उसने बोला कि यहाँ से हम चलते हैं।
This is Nidhi who is speaking to News 18 India and Anand Tiwari having that conversation. She confirms the fight which is caught on CCTV camera. She also confirms that they left from there. She says that, but what is startling is she says that the people in the car tried to mow them down. They tried to run them down. And her friend, she saw her friend being dragged away and shouting and screaming. But those in the car had some film or something that covered the windows which were rolled up and she couldn't see their faces, and they drove away after that. She also says that her phone broke and she went home. She told her mother she was in an accident, but beyond that she didn't say anything because she says मैं hopeless हो गई थी and she was scared. And the cops came knocking on her door 2 days later. Swapnil Kothari with us. Swapnil, her account, well, she can be faulted at multiple levels that she had allowed her friend to be dragged away. She didn't call for help. She didn't raise an alarm. She didn't call the cops. All of that you can fault her as the eyewitness. But more importantly, she said the four tried to run both of them down. They tried to mow them down. This is a different conversation altogether then. This is then not just hit and drag.
Absolutely, Anand. This comes across as an entirely different conversation now. And from the way I noticed this friend of hers who's talking, I think she has got a lot more to hide than to divulge. So I believe she's been threatened with something. There could be a mowing down threat or an attempt at that time, but I think if there were no clothes, on Anjali at that time, then I believe there is a sexual assault or a rape possibly involved. And Delhi police is definitely trying to cover it up. Some people who are involved in this and who are close
See,
to
the
one of
post-mortem
the
as of
accused.
now says no sexual assault. The
Uh,
Nidhi, the eyewitness,
I
has said
doubt it.
that there
I
was
doubt it.
there was no
I
attack on
find it
her
hard to
after that,
believe.
but she says they tried to mow her down. The other thing, Swapnil, she says she was shouting and screaming. Anjali was shouting and screaming. Clearly, she would have been banging on the car. How is it that these four who were inside the car did not know?
Exactly, Anand. That's exactly, Anand. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, so people always come out and say that it's a suicide. It's not a murder unless they find a body chopped into 75 pieces. Then only it's murder. Otherwise, it's a suicide out of depression. You and I both know who we are talking about for how many last victims that we have seen that. Now, this is a case where I'm sure mowing down is one aspect of it. Attempt that is true. That may be true, but I do not want to brush aside the aspect of sexual assault in this, even if the cops have come out with that sort of a theory, because the cops themselves are involved in this to a certain extent as far as their laxity is concerned. So I believe as far as the sexual assault aspect is concerned, that's being covered up because that's going to raise a big ruckus more than this, so to, sort of wean it off as some sort of an accident or, drunken driving sort of a thing is much easier. Oh, newer Eve, that kind of a thing rather than something more grave and serious. So, Anand, let me tell you, this needs to be investigated more. So, there must be a special investigation team. I am not happy with the way this whole incident has been investigated because I believe that the word investigated needs to look at
The
all
interesting part is
angles.
Yogita Bhayana, who was there. She's a lawyer and she's been fighting the cause of daughters who've been neglected, especially in these kind of assault and hit and run cases, etc. And she says that there could be the angle of human trafficking which is being ignored by the police.
Exactly.
Now, she has
Possibly.
to have a reason to say that. And if you were to corroborate that with what this girl said, that these four did not know these two girls, but they tried to mow them down. There was, and none of these four actually stepped out of the car. She doesn't say they stepped out of the car, but she says they tried to mow them down, and then they sped away.
Anand, human trafficking is a little, too big a word. But I believe if Yogita is saying that, then she must be having some sort of a proof somewhere. Some hunch must be there because she's been in a lot of all these cases. So I believe that, possibly could also be explored that particular angle. But from the way this whole thing seems to be, it's more like a drunk driving, sexual assault. Even, assault. That's a very simple word. It's possibly direct rape. I don't know because if she was found without any clothes, as one of those activists or one of those relatives was saying to your news reporter, Anand, this is something which needs to be explored, investigated thoroughly. I'm not happy with this. Neither was I happy
See,
with Tunisha's
one aspect is that
nor am I happy with this
that
either.
the lone eyewitness and the person who was on the pillion, she has said that she is not claiming she has got minor injuries. She is perfect. She is fine. She says she has minor injuries, but she confirms her phone broke and she saw her friend being dragged away, but she got scared. So she has not talked about sexual assault or any overtures or innuendos, etc. She is not while speaking with News 18 India. But what she has said is they tried to run us down. That is something which the other aspect is the cops believe both sides were under the influence of alcohol. Both
Yes,
sides were
Anand, I'm not
inebriated.
denying the influence of alcohol, but the way she is talking, Anand, look at her body language. I mean, you have done hundreds of investigations like this. You look at her; she's hiding more than what she's divulging. For 2 days, you don't talk about your friend who you are pillion riding with. I mean, obviously, you have been threatened with something, right? You have to tell me that, oh, I'm so shocked beyond my wits, as if I've seen some ghost or something. So I don't know to talk about it. I mean, what rubbish is that? Obviously, she knows much more than what she's willing to divulge. Look at her. It's very clear, Anand. I think your investigating reporting, your reporter needs to investigate a lot more from this lady and try to look at several other corners. Because, when the police don't investigate, then the media investigates. And it's better that the media does it. This is not something which I would buy so easily. Yes, Mao is there and all that, but why? Why mow you down? Why mow you down? Why? For what reason? Just like that. There has to be some reason, na?
Correct.
Why do I want to mow you down?
See, if we look at the entire sequence of events, she confirms that she had a fight with her friend. Interestingly, she was the one who started driving the scooty from the hotel, but later on it is Anjali who's riding the scooty when the accident happens. She also confirms that the car came and hit them badly. Now, if you see the way the scooty is mangled, that means it was a big impact. It was not a minor tucker. It was a big impact. So then, would you want to give credence to the fact that she says they tried to move us over? They parked the scooty. She's parked the scooty. She actually sees her friend being dragged away, and she says, my friend was shouting and screaming for help as she was being dragged under the car. My question to every car driver is that no matter how much your volume is up, no matter what you are, if you are sitting inside the car, if you have one punctured tire, you will know. The balance will go. If there is something that's pulling your car, you will know. So how is it that you can sit inside the car and claim you didn't know?
Exactly, Anand. I mean, all the questions that you are raising are absolutely fine. I just want the Delhi police. I don't think that I'll trust the Delhi police in this to explore unless some very senior man comes out. And I don't understand why they are not giving you any interviews, Anand. Why anybody is not coming from the current Delhi police, hierarchy and talking to you? Why not? Why is some retired police officer coming and talking about it just like me as a panelist? I'm not interested in that. I want somebody who's accountable.
Because the Delhi police called for a press conference and then answered no questions. They just gave a briefing and then they walked away. That's what Sagar Preet Hooda did. Right now, the Delhi police will not take questions because they will say the investigation is still underway. I'm telling you what the explanation that's coming from Delhi police. There is also the Delhi police which will say that we have to get to the bottom of this. So far, the information that has also come out into public domain and what we are putting out on News 18, CNN News 18, is also what the cops have unearthed. It's the cops who unearthed the CCTV footages, the cops who found the hotel connection, the cops who found out that there was this clash which happened, the cops who searched the second eyewitness. So all of this has also been done by the Delhi police under the special CP and the joint CP. So they have gotten onto it a little late. They are at least 24 hours late. So why are they 24 hours late? Because somebody asked them to go slow on it. Did somebody wane and say, "Is मामले को रफा दफा कर दो"? Who was that person? Was that a political entity? These are questions. And did they do it because this political entity suggested? So if that political entity said this, then what should be done of that political entity? Question remains. Who was the officer who did not, or who was the PCR call, who ignored the PCR call? Why is that SHO present there at 4 o'clock in the morning, 4:15 in the morning, and not at 2 a.m., 2:30 a.m. when the incident occurs and 90 minutes later they find the scooty? See, there are a lot of questions which remain here, but when you have the eyewitness come out and say, they tried to mow us down or they tried to run us over, then that changes the whole dynamic from an accident. The other part, that if somebody is knocking and screaming and banging on your car, can you say we did not know because our music was high, we were high, and the windows were high?
Absolutely, Anand. And you know, the worst part is that rafa dafa क्यों करो? रफा दफा क्यों करना है आपको? रफा दफा क्यों करना है? That means कुछ तो है, कुछ तो गड़बड़ है, कहीं पर कुछ तो है जो आपको बात नहीं आने देनी है. ये दारू पी के अगर काम कर लिया है कि मोव डाउन कर रहा है या एक्सीडेंट हो चुका है तो बात अलग है, बट उसमें कुछ और ज्यादा है ना, तब जाके रफा दफा करना है ना. या उसको बोलो हाँ सीसीटीवी फुटेजेस मीडिया को दिखा दो, यानी पुलिस काम कर रही है इसके पीछे, बट पुलिस कौन से सेक्शंस लगाने वाली है वो भी इंपॉर्टेंट है ना. रेप और प्लस एक्सीडेंट मर्डर का पूरा सेक्शन बहुत अलग होता है, उसका इम्प्लीकेशन बहुत अलग होता है. यहाँ पे तो खाली एक्सीडेंट हो जाएगा तो कुछ ना कुछ बात करके बोलेंगे इंटॉक्सिकेशन में चलाया, वो बात अलग है भाई.
No, but the laws now also for drunk driving are very strict, very stringent. The punishment is stringent. And here you have dragged a person, a human being, for more than 12 kilometers. You have taken the life of a 23-year-old. You have snuffed the life out of her. You have tortured her to death. The postmortem also confirms that the injuries are antemortem and she has died due to shock and hemorrhage. So far, the postmortem under so much of scrutiny. Clearly, you will have to believe what the postmortem has put out right now because the family is willing to accept it. There are no signs of sexual assault. But is there a dynamic which says that the four accused cannot get away by saying we were high, windows were high, music was high?
Exactly, Anand. वही मैं बोल रहा हूँ. You know, this needs to be investigated properly. Whether or not there is sexual assault, chalo, I can grant to the extent that even if the family is accepting that, then that's fine. I'm nobody to get into that space if the family is accepting that. But the point is very simple. These people cannot be let go free. The cops certainly should not be believed totally in this. That is only my concern. I'm only pointing out some of the red flags which do not add up. then it's up to the job
No,
of the police to
there
want
are
to
a
do it the
lot
way
of
or
points,
possibly
there are a
an
lot of
SIT.
aspects which do not add up. But more importantly, what are we going to do with people who think they can roll up their windows, they can drink inside their car, and they can drive drunk all around the car, all around the city, and get away with it? What are we going to do with such elements? So are they not a danger to society and humanity? Does this not prove? What is the fault of that 23-year-old? Did she deserve to be dragged 12 kilometers? Had they stopped the car at that moment, would a life have been saved? Had her friend Nidhi immediately called the cops or raised an alarm, could she have saved that life? So the guilt weighs on multiple shoulders in this case, and there are multiple dynamics to it. Swapnil, thank you very, very much. We're going to wind up the nation at 5, but stay with us. Viewpoint with Zaka.
Good evening, this is Viewpoint. I'm Zaka. Jacob, it is the most gruesome and shocking case of hit and run that Delhi has seen. Anjali, a 23-year-old victim, being run down by 5 drunk men on New Year's night. Now, shocking new details are emerging. Number one, that Anjali was not alone on that fateful night. She had a friend named Nidhi who was along with her. News 18 has managed to track Nidhi down. We'll be playing out an exclusive interview that we have with Nidhi shortly in just a moment. Many questions ring out loud. Why did Nidhi flee? What sort of friend does not raise an alarm that her friend is stuck below a car and her body is being dragged by 5 drunk men inside that car? Why didn't she complain to the police? Why didn't she alert passers-by? Why didn't she, after she came back home, tell any of her family members that this was what was happening to her friend? And why is the Delhi police so far behind the curve on this case? Up until this morning, they had not revealed publicly the information that Anjali was not alone on that night. Today,